You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mo Kelly here. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Now let's toss it over to Nautica De La Cruz.
Thank you so very much, Mo, and happy Friday for Discover SoCal. I went to the historic Adamson House. It's located in the beautiful city of Malibu. It is a charming and beautiful estate that was once the home to a very wealthy family. Built in 1929, it originally belonged to Rhoda Ringe Adamson and her husband Merritt Huntley Adamson. Rhoda was the daughter of Frederick and May Ridge, a prominent family that owned a vast portion of the land in Malibu. The house was part of their large ranch, which covered much of the area during that time. The Adamson House is known for its stunning Spanish colonial revival architecture, which gives its unique and elegant look. The tiles that decorate the house are one of the most special features, as they were created by Malibu Potteries, and Malibu Potteries was owned by Rhoda's family. These colorful tiles can be found throughout the property, adding its beauty and historic charm. One of the most breathtaking aspects of the Adamson's house is its location, of course. The home sits right on the edge of Malibu Lagoon, offering incredible views of the Pacific Ocean. Visitors can enjoy the sight of waves crashing along the shore, as well as peaceful views of the surrounding gardens and lagoon. It's a serene place that is truly, it just captures you. And not to mention, the Malibu coastal landscape is amazing as well. The Adamson House is now a museum that welcomes visitors to learn about the rich history of Malibu. It is open to the public for tours, and guests can explore the inside of the house and its lovely gardens. The estate gives people a glimpse into what life kind of was when, you were a wealthy family in the early times of Malibu. And not to mention that the Ridge family and the Adamson family, they owned a lot of property there. They were kind of responsible for making Malibu and what it is today. Overall, the Adamson House is not just a beautiful home, but a piece of California history. Its scenic location, remarkable architecture, the connection to the founding family of Malibu make it a must-visit destination. Tours are available year-round, offering a perfect opportunity to experience both the beauty of the house and the history behind it. The historic Adamson House guided public tours are opened on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., with the last tour starting at 2 p.m. Entrance to the house is only available with a guided tour. There are no self-guided tours inside the home. Let me just repeat that. No self-guided tours inside the home. Guided tours run about, 45 minutes, and reservations are required for groups of 7 or more, and that must be 30 days in advance. Admission to the Adamson House and garden tours is cash only. It's $7. And for kids 5 and under is free, and kids 6 to 17 is $2. So don't miss also the delightful gift shop on the premises. It has amazing books. It has Malibu pottery tiles that were, of course, handcrafted. And it just gives you a little bit of the history. And the museum is absolutely breathtaking. It has these amazing views. You could kind of see how the rich kind of lived. And this was the family, like I said earlier, Mo, that they made Malibu. They took the ranches and just started adding architecture and making buildings and just expanding.
I knew about the Adamson House, but I didn't know that it had been designated as a National Historic Site and a California Historic Landmark, and it was managed by the state park system. That much I did not know.
Yes, it is. And if you want more information and some history about it, you could go to MalibuAdamsonHouse.org. That's MalibuAdamsonHouse.org. And if you're heading towards Malibu and, you're just on PCH, that's kind of what my friend Kimberly and I did. We just took the car and we just started driving, and she did make a reservation for the museum. And we did have lunch at Jeffrey's in Malibu, which is off of PCH, which is also exquisite. Great food, reservation only, and also great views too. So it's a nice day to spend the day in Malibu if you've never really kind of just been nosy about it other than going to the beach. A good place to go.
When you say a good place to go, if you just get a chance to look at the website, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous, scenic place where you can look out over the water, and you're kind of reminded how spoiled we are in Southern California. You have these opportunities and landmarks to visit, relatively inexpensive or free, but they're there for the taking, and more times than not, we don't take advantage of them. And that's why I enjoy what you're doing here, Nautica, to remind us of what is available to us and also make sure that we take advantage of them.
Most definitely. Sometimes we don't even go see that. Like I said, we don't even go see the things that are in our own backyards. But
right.
The lagoon is amazing. The scenic view is beautiful. And, I stood there in the garden and I just kind of meditated for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes. I had a spiritual conversation, and I was just there to listen what was spoken to me, and also to listen to the waves and the birds. Sometimes you just got to get away from the city. You got to go to near the water and just kind of, refresh yourself. We kind of refocus and just, I don't know. In Latino culture, it's kind of like a cleanse. A beach, when you go to the beach, it's more of a cleanse thing, but it's also a spiritual thing. But it's also a sense of being grounded and a sense of peace.
I need to go to the beach more. I'm not a water person, but I do enjoy the serenity of the beach and the water, and how calming it is, how relaxing it is. And to your point, it's a great way to reset. It's a great way to recalibrate. And again, we have all of these landmarks and museums right under our nose, and we just drive by them every single day,
all the
time,
not
giving them a second thought.
All the time. I know. That's why we have to get out and discover Southern California, because it has so much to offer. And I think even in our golden years, as we get older, there are still nooks and crannies that we'll probably never find. But, the whole point is to dedicate, either a weekend a month or 2 weekends a month. Just go, you know what? Let's get in the car. You have dogs. Let's take the dogs. Yep. And let's see where, our Chevy takes us. I don't know what you drive, but I'm just saying, see where your car takes you, and just go, oh, I didn't even know this was here. Go to Big Sur, go to Monterey, go to Berkeley, go to San Francisco, go to somewhere in San Diego, go to a wine country or a wine, vineyard. You just never know. But sometimes it's just really about just getting in the car and going.
I got to correct you. Were you saying like I'm old or something when you're talking about golden years?
No.
I'm going to be forever young. I just want to be clear.
Okay,
all right.
okay.
I have a birthday coming up. Yes. But it's not like I'm going to be, marching into Social Security. Slow down, Nautica. Slow down.
Okay. Yeah, you know what I mean. I
don't know. I was kind of insulted there for a second.
I would never insult you. But what I'm saying is, we get caught up in life, Mo. And yes, we're both still young. We're in our prime in our lives, but we get caught up in housework and work, and I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do all this other stuff, and we never put ourselves first. We put everybody else first, and we forget about the fun and all the things that Los Angeles and California has to offer us. And sometimes we just have to get in your car and go.
That is sage advice. Get in your car and go. When we come back, we'll have the hidden gem for this week for Later with Mo Kelly as we continue Friday nights with Nautica De La Cruz. So keep it right here.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly as we continue Friday nights with Nautica De La Cruz. Nautica, take it away.
Thank you, Mo. Today's hidden gem is Antonio Loma. Antonio Loma grew up in the modest neighborhood of Los Angeles, where his father worked long hours as a construction worker. Every evening, Antonio would watch his father come home with his hands rough from a day spent laboring with bricks, cement, and wood. What started as a way to pass time soon turned into a passion for young Antonio. His father would bring home scraps of wood from job sites, giving him the challenge of transforming the leftover pieces into something new. With each creation, be it a small sculpture, a toy, or a makeshift shelf, Antonio found a sense of pride and purpose. His father's encouragement to always find the value in the things others overlook kind of stuck with him. By the time Antonio was a teenager, he had enrolled in a Los Angeles trade school, eager to become an electrician. He saw it was a way to carry forward the skills his father had taught him, but this time with wires and circuits rather than nails and wood. Antonio knew that electricity, like the materials his father used, had potential to bring something to life. His journey took him to San Bernardino, where he now works on a series of major projects that not only light up buildings, but also honors his father's legacy of craftsmanship and ingenuity. For Antonio, his hands aren't just about creating. They are also honoring a family tradition of transforming what seems ordinary into something extraordinary. Antonio's story aligns with the mission of rediscovercenter.org, an organization that champions creativity by repurposing discarded materials for educational and artistic purposes. Founded by a group of passionate educators and artists, the Rediscover Center began as a small community initiative where people were encouraged to turn their waste into wonders. What started with a few people sharing ideas on upcycling grew into a larger movement. The center now provides children and adults alike the opportunity to create, explore, and rediscover the potential in materials that would otherwise be discarded. RediscoverCenter.org believes in the power of sustainability and education, promoting hands-on learning with a focus on reusing everyday objects to make art. The organization offers workshops, classes, and community events where participants are taught to look beyond the surface of what is seen as waste. Like Antonio's father taught him, the Rediscover Center teaches that creativity has no bounds when you learn to see the value where others see trash. Their mission is not only to foster creativity, but also to build a more sustainable world, one recycled masterpiece at a time. Now, for more information on the organization, events, or how you could donate, I would like you to visit rediscovercenter.org. That's rediscovercenter.org. And honestly, Mo, I think we should all learn to repurpose things or recycle and be creative. We buy so much stuff every single day. I see Amazon packages delivered in my building every single day, and I'm like, oh, another box, more waste, more waste. We just buy a little bit too much. And one of the things I have to say about my father, and not only Antonio's father, my father, he always tried to repurpose something. He would break it apart and go, I could use this for this. And I think we need to start doing that. I know I'm one of those people that I could go, oh, I can make this out of whatever. But I don't like to buy a lot of stuff, and I don't like to throw a lot of, trash and, other than the normal waste. But it's just, I just feel like we're over consuming, and I have seen, like, there's this one place, I can't think of the name of it right now, Mo, but there's this place in Palm Springs that's like a museum, and it's this artist that has made statues of metal, of bottle caps, of aluminum, of wood, of pieces of glass, and they take it and they make mosaics out of it. It's just absolutely amazing, and I think that's a good way to express art.
Yeah, I think you touched upon something, because we live in a world, and obviously our society, which is built upon the idea of just having more, consumerism, purchasing things, and our lives and our happiness, at least what we think is somehow connected to being able to spend, being able to buy. And I think that's part of the reason why so many people are so very unhappy, because they measure their own happiness relative to how many physical items that they may buy. And that would seem to be a more recent phenomenon. That wasn't the case when I was growing up. I know it wasn't the case when you were growing up. Mm-hmm. We just have this society which is bent upon, okay, I want something and I want to have it, and so let me get it right now. Click, click, click on the computer, and it's on the way. And that has given us, I would say, a distorted view of what's important and what is of value. Because again, we're always going back to, I want it, let me buy it, let me get it as soon as possible. So you are definitely touching upon something. But I wanted to ask you before we get out of here.
Yes.
Are you going to be joining us next week at the Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree on October 30th.
I gave you my word. Yes, I already have. I just need one more thing for my costume, and I should be good. But yes, I will be here on Wednesday, so I'm excited to meet your listeners, to meet the team, and just to have a good time. By the way, is there going to be alcohol involved? No comment. Okay.
I'm not going to say that on the air.
I'm just kidding.
You try to get me in trouble. It's like, Mark, hipper the game. You know better.
No. I know it's not going to be spiked. I know that.
Let's just say there's Morton's right next door, and I am not stopping anyone from hanging out at Morton's in advance and then walking over. That's all I'm going to say.
That's wonderful. Look, as long as you have water, I'm okay.
Oh, we got that. We got that covered. It's sponsored by Wendy's. They have a lot of great food coming for us. It's going to be a great evening. And I know you have a fantastic listenership and fan base who've known you for your many years of radio here in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Different stations. I mean, just about every station, it seems like in LA. The Nautica de la Cruz. So if you've never met Nautica, of course you've heard her voice, but if you want to meet Nautica, be sure to come out. Well, assuming that you have a pass and you can win a pass tonight, or you already have a pass, I would say look forward to meeting Nautica de la Cruz. She is one of a kind.
Thank you. Mo, one more thing. I was on the Sketchomatic podcast, the pod, and I mentioned you there, and I gave you and Tawala some love. And it is a really long podcast, but it's funny. And if you want to get to know a little bit more about me and my history in radio, I talk about Steve Harvey, I talk about Big Boy, I talk about you, talk about Chris Little, I talk about Tawala. And I'm so grateful for you and Tawala, and I gave you guys some love too. So thank you.
I appreciate you more than you know. Can't wait for Wednesday so we can do this as a part of the live show. So I will see you then.
Yes.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on Later with Mo Kelly, Mark talks about movies and TV, pontificates about pop culture. Rahner Report with Mark Rahner. Mark Rahner right now. Mark Rahner right now. Mark Rahner right now. Report with Mark Rahner.
KFI, it's Later with Mo Kelly. Now let's turn it over to Mark Rahner with the super secret Rahner report.
It's not that secret. Venom 3's new in theaters, and I'm going to tell you something you've never heard a critic say. There's no real reason to review it. Oops, I had a sound effect there and it didn't work. Live radio. Yeah, well, take that, Siskel and Ebert. The first Venom was terrible. I skipped the second one because the first one was terrible. There's some talk about the third one. It might be a little bit better, but that's kind of like saying a toilet might just be really full but not quite overflowing. It's fun to unload on bad movies, sure, but dragging my ass to a theater to see a bunch of green screen CGI product about the annex of a symbiote that looks like someone sneezed black licorice into a handkerchief. Nope. Venom 3 is also projected to hoover up $65 million its opening weekend from people who don't care how lousy it might be or what any critic says. In related news, nothing matters. Instead, I want to tell you about a book. Now, before you change the channel, don't change the channel. I know, a book, reading is hard, but it's a special book that took 50 years to get into the world, and this release is a real event. It is called The Last Dangerous Visions. If you're a sci-fi nerd, this will ring a bell. If not, I'll explain, and it's a little personal. I've mentioned before the writer Harlan Ellison was a friend of mine. He died in 2018, and I'm pretty sure that through newspapers, radio, and podcasts, I interviewed him more than anyone else. The first book of his I read as a teenager was like getting a bolt shot into my brain from one of those cattle guns. Ferociously intelligent guy, compassionate, really raw, and just not just unafraid of bullies, but compelled to fight them, no matter who they were. There was no one else like Harlan Ellison. He'd also written some of the most famous episodes of The Outer Limits and Star Trek and an iteration of The Twilight Zone in the 80s, I think. So cub reporter Mark at Little Gannett newspaper in Indiana gets Ellison on the phone in the mid-90s and says, "You made me want to be a writer." And he says right away, "We'll see if that's a good or a bad thing." Jesus. When I finished the article that I'd called him for, I sent him 2 copies of it for his records in situ, as he specified, the full section, not clipped. And I included some of my newspaper columns. I was nervous the next time we talked, but he said, "You got moxie, kid." And we became friends until he died. There was nothing I wouldn't have done for the guy. I never knew my father, and it doesn't really take a bunch of brain power to do the math on that one. Among our adventures, I ran interference for him when the Science Fiction Hall of Fame people were trying to induct him in Seattle. He hated being ghettoized as just a science fiction writer, and he walked out of interviews with people who called him one. He especially hated the term sci-fi. Can't tell you what he said it sounded like, but it was something dirty. But he was pleased to be recognized as one of the all-time giants of it anyway. The one thing I never asked Harlan Ellison about was Dangerous Visions. It was a science fiction anthology that he edited, and he wrote introductions for it that blew your hair back as much as the stories themselves. The first volume had an absolutely seismic effect on the science fiction world. It was a landmark. It started a new wave. And the second volume, just as good. But the third one, he never finished it. People bugged him about it constantly for decades. Authors who contributed to it died. They never saw their stories published. And I never brought it up. Didn't want to set him off. We had plans. Go hang out at Pink's, have hot dogs. He was going to show me his house in Sherman Oaks he called Ellison Wonderland. Lots of stuff. But he died just before I moved here to L.A. I'd hoped to be some help to his widow, Susan. But she died right after I moved here, abruptly, really young, and literally as I was composing a letter to her. Life has plenty of loose ends, and you just got to live with them. But then I find out the third Dangerous Visions book is coming out posthumously. WT Actual F. J. Michael Straczynski, the Babylon 5 creator, got it done. I'm just going to call him JMS. He was a friend of Harlan's, and for much longer than me, Harlan made him his executor. JMS wrote a long, novella-sized introduction to The Last Dangerous Visions about what happened with this book that took 50 years to publish and what happened to Harlan. JMS did the same as me. He sought out Harlan as a young writer, let Harlan know what his work meant to him, and there was nothing he wouldn't have done for Harlan, and he did. I'm reading this book, and I'm getting flashbacks to driving Harlan and Susan around in my old Mustang, finding places for us to eat, answering the phone when I'm depressed to hear Harlan in this exaggerated Jewish mom voice saying, "Oh, you never call, you never write." Well, JMS had a psych education, and he figured Harlan had bipolar disorder, which led to severe clinical depression and also a death fixation from seeing his dad die young and living past that age himself. So in this introduction, JMS lists Harlan's bipolar symptoms, and they include racing thoughts, bouts of chronic fatigue, a laundry list of stuff I'm way too familiar with myself. And this year, I'm as old as my mom was when she died very young. Oh, crap. So let's just say JMS's introduction to The Last Dangerous Visions shook me. It's tremendously moving. It made me cry. It's a major achievement to get this book out into the world. It's on Amazon, of course. I got it from the library on my iPod the instant I found out about it. JMS was such a good friend to Harlan that he got him to go to therapy finally. I ain't doing that. The couple times I put my toe in the water, my biggest breakthrough was that I hate talking about my feelings. But reading helps. Reading helps. Check out The Last Dangerous Visions and read some Harlan Ellison. Reading is hard, and we'll get back to movies and stuff next week. But this is good, and it's really special. There's your Rahner report. Mo?
That was great, Mark. That was great. The stories contained, great.
Thank you, Mo. I'm sure you've met some of your heroes and have stories of your own.
I do, and sometimes they've disappointed me, and other times they've not disappointed me. But I enjoyed how the story began decades ago and end decades down the road, and you got to see it come to fruition.
It was such a piece of unfinished business, and my mouth was hanging open a lot of the time I read this stuff. I knew Harlan for, 25 years, maybe, something like that. I didn't know this stuff, and some of this stuff, and by the way, I didn't at all ruin the book for anybody by what I revealed. There's so much going on, and he was such an interesting guy. And there's a lot of him on YouTube. If you're not familiar with him, he was an extraordinarily entertaining, smart, just whip smart, articulate guy. So he used to be a favorite of Tom Snyder. He was on the Tomorrow Show way back in the day. He was one of these writers, especially science fiction writers. He was a handsome guy. He was good on TV, very clever, very funny. He was charming. Everybody wanted to have him as a guest, even Merv Griffin, for God's sakes. Although once they got him on the show, they never knew what he was going to say. He was a real live wire. There's lots of him to discover. He also did a show on the old Sci-Fi Channel, even though, like I said, he hated the term sci-fi, hated it. He did a show called I think it's called Harlan Ellison's Watching on the Sci-Fi Channel. They're just brilliant little short pieces of his commentary on sci-fi, pop culture, comic books, you name it. And I got to tell you, you made me remember something. Back when Isaac Asimov died, remember Isaac Asimov?
Absolutely.
Also one of the greats who's in the Science Fiction Hall of Fame. I was away at college, and I didn't have TV or cable or anything like that. Harlan did a very emotional eulogy for Isaac Asimov on his show. I had my mom, long distance on the phone, hold the phone up to the TV so I could hear this thing, and it brought me to tears way back then, too. If you don't know this author, Harlan Ellison, you're really in for a treat.
Well, I need to go back and listen to this again because I think that was one of your best Rahner reports ever because it was personal.
Oh,
you had personal anecdotes.
He meant a lot to me, and I think he meant a lot to a lot of people, and I think this book is going to be really special to a lot of people as well.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The countdown is on to Wednesdays. Later with Mo Kelly, pre-Halloween soiree. And if you have already gotten your pass to the most exclusive event in the history of KFI, and I mean that, it's not even close because we aren't advertising this. We aren't posting it on social media. We didn't put it on KFIAM640.com. We weren't taking requests if you tried to inbox us, and people did. The only way that you can get tickets to this event is to win them via Name That Movie Called Classic, and we'll be playing one more time tonight for our final attendees. And if you are going to be coming, hopefully you've already received the introductory email, trying to make sure you're going to be in attendance. And if so, you're going to be bringing your guest. I cannot wait. I got my costume ready to go.
Wow.
I assume Tuala's got it. Oh, it's real simple. You'll see. It's like, oh, I got it. Yeah. You'll be able to figure it out.
All right.
Tuala, you ready to go?
Oh, I'm absolutely ready to go. I am dressed already in my mind. I know there's this thing going on. It's game 1 of the World Series, and a lot of people are excited. There's a lot of traffic for it today and all that. I just want to make sure Later with Mo Kelly listeners know that there is that much hype for this party and more, actually.
There's going to be great food, compliments of Wendy's, and we will have all sorts of spreads for you. You're going to be well fed. Put it that way. You're going to be well fed, and you're going to be well entertained. We have a couple more surprises which are coming your way that we're trying to lock down, but this is for you, the people who've supported us from the beginning. It's all about you. You've turned this show into something special, and the least we could do is show you some love in return. I tell you this, and I don't know if I said this before. The very first time we played Name That Movie Called Classic, it was a throwaway thing. I knew that I wanted to do some sort of game. I knew that it may have something to do with TV or movies. It would have something to do with entertainment. So I just pulled 10 clips from some movies, and I said, well, we'll see if it sticks. And it stuck. And it's been so very popular since that very first week, almost 2 years ago at this point. And because of you, we're able to do this. I took Mark Rahner and Stefan up to the space, the Helpful Honda Studios, because they hadn't seen it, how it was going to be laid out, where people are going to be. Oh, you guys are in for a treat, a real treat. We're going to have the whole cast there. From our commentators, Marcia Collier is going to be joining us. Nautica De La Cruz is going to be joining us. Jackie Ray is going to be joining us. Who have I forgotten?
Tiffany Hobbs will be
Tiffany
there.
Hobbs.
And the nice exercise lady, Claudine Cooper, will be there.
A nice exercise lady.
I love that.
That is too funny. Mark Rahner.
Where is the human sacrifice going to be held?
That's going to be in hour 3.
Yes, that's where the bloodletting will be.
Yeah, you don't want to lead with that.
No. You have to work your way up to the human sacrifice. Okay?
All right. That makes sense.
You have to leave them wanting more, and you can't do it. Look, if we did it in the first hour, it's all downhill after that.
No, you're a pro. I should have trusted your judgment on this.
Now, when they see us setting up to pull hearts out, then get ready for the real party.
I'm going to warm up by watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I think.
Okay.
Now, I can assure you that there won't be any signal saying, okay, now it's time for the freak off. We won't be doing any of that.
No.
Okay?
No, there will be no baby oil upstairs. It's not allowed. They have already let us know. No, you cannot have any pink cocaine or baby oil. We thought we could, but,
What are all these suspicious boxes around the studio that say oil?
No! Don't give it away. Don't give it away. But to be serious, we're going to have so much food, and I want to warn you in advance. You want to get there a little early because you'll want to eat in advance because food will not be allowed in the Helpful Honda studios. We will have an overflow area where you'll be able to hear and see the show. But if you want to be in the actual studio area, you can't bring food in there. So you may want to get there early enough to get some of your great grub on. We're going to have Wendy's making hamburgers on site, made to order, and some other great
you can't
treats.
beat that. I mean, come on.
We learned that last night. That's so cool. So come hungry, but just, come
If
hungry.
you haven't seen the space before, we have an upstairs deck patio, plenty of room to sit outside. Now, it may be a little cool at that time of night. So depending on your costume, you may want to have some sort of jacket or covering, but there'll be plenty places for you to lounge, relax, and enjoy the moment. If you've never been to the iHeartMedia studios, it's a nice little place. It's really well done, and you'll get a full tour of the facility after the show. We'll take you around so you can see all the different radio stations, including AM 570, our partner station at LA Sports, the Dodgers station. And I know they're going crazy right now because of the Dodgers with that dramatic walk-off grand slam home run to win Game 1 by Freddie Freeman. And I can't say it enough. Look, we knew that something historic was going to happen in the series. I didn't know it was going to be Game 1 in such dramatic fashion. And if you're a student of Dodger history, the most consequential, and maybe I would even say famous home run in Dodger history is the Kirk Gibson home run in Game 1 against the Oakland A's back in 1988 to win Game 1. In fact, you can go back and find the video and audio of it on YouTube. And when you see the video, you will see people in the parking lot, the red lights of cars driving away because people wanted to beat the traffic. And tonight, I wouldn't blame you because there's traffic everywhere. People wanted to beat the traffic and missed seeing the World Series home run in person. I wonder if something similar happened tonight because this home run tonight rivals that. And you will see the direct comparison again and again and again between the Kirk Gibson home run of 1988 and the Freddie Freeman home run of 2024. And here's why, if you didn't know. Kirk Gibson only had that one at bat in the 1988 series. He had been hobbled by injuries. He could barely move. He was brought in as a pinch hitter to maybe catch lightning in a bottle. And they did. Freddie Freeman has been hobbled this whole playoff run with a bad ankle. He really can't run at all, but he can still swing the stick. And it was almost it was surreal because it was so reminiscent of that Kirk Gibson home run. They're both left-handers. It was obviously the last at bat was a walk-off home run in Game 1. Hopefully this series will end the same way that it did in 1988 with the Dodgers winning. But I'll tell you one last time, if you're not watching this series, you are missing out on history. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
We tried less stimulating talk. It ended poorly. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live